Qualifying for Worlds this season has never been more difficult, and with the top competitors all trying their absolute best for the North American International Championships, aka NAIC, the local scene is the hardest it's ever been for many players. Up here in Canada, we have many very strong players, with 2 of our locals placing in the top 16 of Worlds last year. On top of that, we have many top cuts and other players that are insanely good at the game. So, where does that leave me? Well, I'm still in the Worlds race despite being at almost every single disadvantage possible. I need a top 32 at NAIC to get my Worlds invite, and this is the last event before then. So having this experience is crucial to my chances. Oh, and one more small detail I forgot to mention. Every player at this event has won a local tournament. So this will be the hardest local tournament that has ever been held in Toronto. So here we go. Welcome to the Toronto VGC Invitational Tournament. Before every Pokemon tournament, many players choose to grind in many ways. Some choose limitless tournaments, some prefer the showdown ladder, and others like working in small groups with friends. As for me, I was doing absolutely nothing. You see, I have been grinding way too much. Since I'm going for my Worlds invite, any kind of break is a massive hindrance. So that means I've been playing with a ton of burnout. So instead of playing, I've been sitting by a pool, relaxing, and not even giving my team a shred of thought. Not until a week before the tournament, when I realized how close it was and how little prep I had done, I started scrambling to find a team. Koraidon, Kali Ice, Kali Shadow, Smeargle. I went to a League Cup 2 hours from my house to get some points and to test a team, and I used Calyrex Shadow Smeargle. And this team felt absolutely abysmal to me. It felt like Smeargle was forcing a lot of 25-25-25 situations, where it was just about guessing with a 1 in 4 chance to get it right. I was able to clutch second place off a coin flip, but I absolutely hated my team, so it was time to go back to the drawing board. I decided that I wanted to use a good team, and not learn a team with a weaker restricted Pokemon. Normally, I would just bring Terapagos, who I've been using all season, but that isn't gonna work because of how weak Terapagos is. All of my friends laugh at Terapagos whenever I try and use it, and are always on about how horrific it is. So that's off the table. I keep trying to use Calyrex Shadow Zamazenta, but it really just doesn't click. I can't find another team to use, so I guess it was time. I relapsed back to Terapagos, but you know what? I'm only in a position to get my Worlds invite because of Terapagos. I was able to get top 32 in a global challenge with it, which is the only thing keeping me alive right now. So I think I owe it to Terapagos to clear its name both on the local and the international stage. I decided to look into a team that I've been working on in secret for the whole format. A team that has never been revealed to the public. Only my closest friends know about it, so here it is. Okay, I know it's a little boring, but hear me out, okay? I have been using Calyrex Shadow with Encore and Disable for the longest time, and it wasn't until recently when I tried to switch over to Pollenpuff and Will-O-Wisp. I decided to look at the best performing Terapagos team in Portland for some inspiration. It was Pollenpuff and Will-O-Wisp, and I never understood why until I was using the team with Puff and Wisp, and I encountered a really interesting board state. Zamazenta plus Calyrex Shadow versus my Calyrex and Terapagos. Normally, I could just click Astral Barrage here and bring the Calyrex down to Sash and chip the Zamazenta. Even if I get this off, they have the option to Psychic and Body Press my Terapagos. If they do that, I'd probably lose on the spot. I could protect my Terapagos here, but then that gives them the possibility to double my Calyrex and take it out, also losing me the game on the spot. With Encore and Disable here, there's absolutely nothing I can do. With Pollenpuff and Will-O-Wisp, however, I have an out. I can Will-O-Wisp the Zamazenta, allowing my Terapagos to live the double up and then start setting up. With the recovery from leftovers combined with the Pollenpuff, I can heal back to Terra Shell and completely wall CSR Zama. This, combined with the utility from Will-O-Wisp and Pollenpuff outside of this specific matchup, is enough to convince me to switch to it. Since my Calyrex is Focus Sash, there's absolutely no reason not to just max out its speed and special attack, and I put the 4 into defense to increase the Surging Strikes rolls from Urshifu. As for Terapagos, my other restricted, I decided to use this spread that I've been using all year. It survives Urshifu close combat in its baby form, and it can survive a Terra Stellar close combat when the Urshifu is -1 and the Terapagos is Terra. It has enough speed to outspeed the vast majority of Incineroar, and the rest of it is dumped into special defense and special attack. I decided to use the standard moveset, since the only case where I'd ever change it is if I was worried about Amoonguss, but almost every other Pokemon on my team is completely immune to Spore, so I'm not really worried about it all that much. Rillaboom is Terapagos' best partner, and I have a pretty strange Rillaboom spread. To be honest, the spread came from Regulation H, and I just kept using it and tweaking it. It has enough speed to outspeed most of the opposing Rillabooms, and enough attack investment to feel like it's actually doing damage. Its defense and special defense are lacking, but with a team like this I'm able to slow down attacks on both the physical and special side, so I wasn't really worried about missing out on my defenses. For Incineroar, my spread allows it to survive Surging Strikes from Choice Scarf Urshifu along with close combat. I am severely lacking in the special defense investment, which is a little annoying, especially when Chiyu and Calyrex are some of the toughest Pokemon to deal with for me. The speed investment is not as much as I would like, but I'd rather have enough speed to outspeed the Calyrex Ices than have more special defense investment. Amoonguss has the very obvious spread, which is just enough to survive Glacial Lance, and the rest is dumped into special defense. The only interesting thing about my Amoonguss is that it has 27 speed IVs, so it underspeeds the Ursalunas and the Calyrex Ices under Trick Room, but that's pretty standard for Amoonguss, so honestly it's not that interesting. Ogerpon Rock is also pretty boring since it has a built-in Focus Sash with Sturdy, so it's pretty much the same as Calyrex Shadow, with max power in attack and speed, and 4 in defense for Urshifu rolls. After driving into downtown Toronto and finding the venue, I walked in to see all my friends ready to play. Since they are my friends, I expect to maybe hear some, "Hello, how you been?" or things like, "Good luck today, you got this." So what did I hear when I walked into the venue? Everyone laughed at me! Why? Well, it turns out that absolutely nobody else believed in Terapagos. I was the only one who brought it, and everyone thought it was absolutely hilarious that I was the one Terapagos player in this tournament. Well, that's okay. I know that Terapagos isn't the strongest Pokemon out there, but at the end of the day, I have more experience with it than anyone here, and that experience is what's going to win me this tournament, not Terapagos' sheer power. As I always like to say, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks one time, but the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Funnily enough, I named one of my other Terapagos teams 1000 kicks because of that quote. Before, winning this tournament was more of a personal goal that was honestly much more of a side quest to my actual goal of getting good experience with my team. So much for that, it's personal now. I have gotten made fun of for using Terapagos too many times and I am sick of it. I will prove to everyone here that Terapagos is a good Pokemon and clear its name. Round 1 I pulled Jesse, a very good player who has taken a step back from the scene this year. Jesse was in Portland and was one of the 2 people able to take out the top performing Terapagos team. This means he has experience playing against my team, but he doesn't have experience playing against me. Terapagos is a Pokemon that is played in a really linear way, with the optimal lead being Rillaboom and Terapagos almost all of the time. I would be a little bit stupid to see the best lead and not use it. However, this doesn't mean I have to play my turns the same as everyone else. A lot of other Terapagos players use Fake Out and Calm Mind on turn 1, but I've learned that it's very easy to predict that play, and it usually isn't the easiest way to victory. So I've learned how to play in ways that are a little harder to predict. Sometimes this results in me making absolutely deranged plays. As for Jesse's team, he's using Swordfish, which is Kyogre and Zacian as his restricted pairing, and he has Tornadus for speed control and Urshifu and Chien-Pao for increased damage output. His last Pokemon is Rillaboom to help with Miraidon's terrain, which really isn't a Pokemon he would want to bring very often here. This matchup is probably neutral, but it can get really bad very quickly. Really, it all comes down to turn 1. He leads Tornadus and Kyogre against my Terapagos and Ogerpon. His Tornadus has Taunt, so he's threatening to stop my Terapagos from setting up, but he can also set up Tailwind and click Water Spout, doing insane damage to both. He decides to do the second option, and Tailwind comes out, followed by Water Spout. Thanks to Terra Shell, Terapagos hangs on, and Ogerpon survives thanks to Sturdy. My Ogerpon follows up with Ivy Cudgel into the Tornadus, instantly knocking it out. Terapagos then uses Calm Mind. This might seem like a bad situation for me, but it actually isn't. The Water Spout from Kyogre was boosted by the rain, and Kyogre is slower than both Urshifu and Zacian, which are the 2 Pokemon he probably has in the back. Another fun fact, when Terapagos terastallizes, it removes all weather from the field, and thanks to some really boring math, Terapagos can also recover some HP upon transforming. He sends in Urshifu for the knocked out Tornadus, and instantly switched Kyogre into Zacian to get rain later in the game. I terastallize my Terapagos, and the Urshifu uses U-turn into Ogerpon to knock it out. Then he switches back in Kyogre. Terapagos uses Terra Starstorm to chip the opposing Pokemon. I bring in Incineroar for the fainted Ogerpon and click Fake Out into the Kyogre, as the Zacian Sacred Source my Terapagos. Terapagos follows up with another Terra Starstorm to put both pieces in range of another one. I have a really tough choice to make here. I can protect my Terapagos and use Parting Shot with Incineroar, safely bringing in my Calyrex and putting it in a position to stall Tailwind and win the game. Or, I can leave Terapagos open, expecting him to double the other slot and take both of his pieces. ends. I decide to make the aggressive play, and leave Terapagos completely open. I switch Incineroar out to Calyrex, and he doubles the Calyrex with Behemoth Blade and Origin Pulse, except it misses the Calyrex, and Terra Starstorm is able to take both pieces. With both of my restricteds left, Urshifu can't win, and I take game 1. In game 2, he leads Urshifu Kyogre into my Tornadus and Ogerpon. This lead is very scary, since the Urshifu can take out my Ogerpon in one attack, and Terapagos won't be able to survive a single target Water Spout. I decide that I can Terra my Terapagos to allow my Ogerpon to survive the Surging Strikes. By making this play, I force a 50-50, where only one of his Pokemon can Terrastallize out of the Grass weakness, and if I get it right, I can potentially gain a huge lead. He Terrastallizes his Kyogre, as I Terrastallize my Terapagos, and he clicks Surging Strikes into my Terapagos. As I Power Whip the Kyogre, getting the 50-50 wrong and doing essentially no damage, he clicks Water Spout, and I click Calm Mind. He switches Kyogre out for Tornadus, as I use Follow Me with Ogerpon, and Urshifu takes it out. Terra Starstorm comes out, and now I'm in a really bad situation. Tornadus and Urshifu with Kyogre and presumably Zacian in the back is nearly impossible for me to deal with. He can Tailwind with Tornadus, but with Incineroar on the field to trade with Urshifu, he probably wants to switch out his Tornadus. If he decides to keep both slots in, Incineroar will fake out the Urshifu, and Terapagos will use Terra Starstorm. The next Terra Starstorm will take out both pieces, and with Calyrex in the back, I actually have a chance to win this game. However, if he switches out Tornadus after the Tailwind, he has a guaranteed win, except for one singular outcome. If I Earth Power the Tornadus, and he switches in Zacian, I KO the Zacian, and his position is really awkward. I feel like this is my best out. I bring in Incineroar, and I fake out the Urshifu. Both pieces stay in, and Tailwind comes out, followed by a Terra Starstorm. This is it. I Earth Power the Tornadus, and it stays in. The game is lost from this point, and I forfeit, bringing us to a game 3. Game 3 opens with the same leads as game 1. This might seem a little strange from both of our ends. Why would he revert back to the same leads as the game he lost, and why wouldn't I adjust there? Fact is, both of us thought our loss was due to our own play rather than a problem with the leads. Kyogre protects and Tailwind doesn't come out. Ivy Cudgel knocks out his Tornadus before it can attack. Jesse made a very aggressive play here. He thought that I would double the Kyogre, and if Bleak Wind Storm double connected, he probably would win the game on the spot. I don't fall for it though, and take the Tornadus and click Calm Mind with Terapagos. The absolute worst case scenario for him. He brings in the Urshifu and Terrastallizes it to Grass, as I Terrastallize my Terapagos. Ogerpon uses Follow Me, and the Urshifu uses Close Combat into Ogerpon, hoping it went to Terapagos. Kyogre uses Water Spout to take out Ogerpon, but a Terra Starstorm takes out the Urshifu. I should always switch an Incineroar here, but unfortunately, I don't have it. What I said at the start of the game about us not adjusting was a lie. I brought Rillaboom over Incineroar, since if I had Rillaboom in that last endgame, I would have had much cleaner outs, and Incineroar was really only there for the Intimidate on Zacian. Rillaboom clicks Fake Out into Zacian as Kyogre protects, and Terra Starstorm comes out. Kyogre fails to double protect as Rillaboom Grassy Glides it for the knockout. It's impossible for Zacian to clutch against my Calyrex in the back, and the game is over. 1 win and 0 losses in the tournament.
Hello, okay, I'm at the Toronto VGC Invitational. I won my game 1. It was against Jesse using Kyogre Zacian, so it was well fought. Look at this view that I have first of all. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, so I don't have my pocket mics today, so I'm just gonna be speaking. But like, yeah, I'm 1-0, feeling good. I'm hoping to cut. That'd be ideal. I don't really know. I would like to be on stream because it's gonna be a pain to recreate like all the battles from this video. So, I mean, I have my Switch too, so I can do it. It's just like gonna be a pain. So hopefully I can get on stream so I can save myself some of that trouble. But we'll see how it goes, and I'll see you guys after the next round.
I'm glad to win this match. It's a very odd matchup that I haven't practiced very much, so it's good to gain momentum and confidence early on. Round 2, I pull Marc, also known as Repeat. He is a very good player who's able to win one of the very few locals he attended this year. He has a team that looks pretty scary as well. Lunala, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Chenpao, Ogerpon Rock, and Incineroar. The scary part about this team is the specific combination of Lunala and Zamazenta. Zamazenta on its own is very scary and forces me to lead a certain way in order to beat it. Lunala, on the other hand, is equally scary, as it almost completely walls my Terapagos and can take out its partners easily. Game 1, he leads Zamazenta and Chenpao into my Terapagos and Rillaboom. This is a really bad position for me, as this Chenpao has Ruination, meaning it can instantly KO my Terapagos when paired with Zamazenta's Body Press. I decide to fake out the Chenpao, and Zamazenta used Body Press into my Rillaboom as my Terapagos uses Calm Mind. I protect my Terapagos, expecting a double up, but he doesn't take the bait, and Icicle crashes my Rillaboom, knocking it out. I bring in Calyrex, and I have a choice to make. I would love to Will-O-Wisp the Zamazenta here. That would open the game for my Terapagos to sweep, but I would also love to Pollen Puff the Chenpao to knock it out. He has the option to protect both, but doing that allows me to get another Calm Mind off. I expect him to protect the Zamazenta and Icicle Crash my Calyrex, so I decide to Pollen Puff the POW, but he double protects, wasting my turn. Next turn, the POW Sucker Punches my Terapagos, but that's fine. I clicked Will-O-Wisp here, meaning that I should always win this game. Assuming the Wisp connects, I survive this double up, and can Terra my Terapagos and then Pollen Puff myself, locking up the game. However, the Will-O-Wisp misses, and my Terapagos gets knocked out, losing the game on the spot. In game 2, I lead Calyrex Amoonguss, hoping to force some early mind games if he leads the same thing. He leads Chien-Pao Zamazenta once again. This is good. I feel like I have the advantage this time, but this matchup isn't the greatest, so I can't rest yet. I Terra my Amoonguss into Fairy turn 1 to avoid the Icicle Crash KO, and he double protects, as Calyrex clicks Will-O-Wisp into Zamazenta. I realize that getting a Spore off here probably wins me the game, so I switch in Incineroar for Calyrex and Spore the Zamazenta. He decides to double my Incineroar with Icicle Crash and Behemoth Bash, and I Spore his Zamazenta. This is a really good position for me. I now have the opportunity to switch Terapagos in and start setting up, which can open the game completely. I switch in my Terapagos as he switches Incineroar in for Chien-Pao, and Zamazenta takes its first turn of sleep. Okay, there is one singular outcome where this game goes poorly. If he fakes out my Terapagos and gets a turn 1 wake up and gets the correct damage roll, I could lose. But based off the fact that I lost game 1 off a Will-O-Wisp miss, I figure that the odds are probably in my favor. The turn starts, Fake Out from Incineroar comes out, and Zamazenta wakes up and gets the roll. Are we serious? Well, now I probably lose, but not even a single set is done yet, so we have time. I might as well play it out. I stopped taking notes since I thought for sure I'd lose. I do not know what kind of divine entity came over me, but I got almost every single turn right and one off timer. Marc was so stressed that his finger was bleeding, I almost passed out, and we both looked at each other and started laughing. It's game 3 time. Game 3 opens with Terapagos and Incineroar versus his Zamazenta and Incineroar. I switch Incineroar into Amoonguss, expecting a fake out and a body press again, and protect my Terapagos. He body presses Terapagos and Incineroar taunts my Amoonguss. Yikes. Zamazenta then uses Behemoth Bash on Terapagos, expecting a switch into Calyrex, and Terapagos follows up with a Calm Mind. Incineroar then uses Parting Shot into my Terapagos, invalidating my special attack boost, and brings in Chien-Pao. Amoonguss Pollen Puffs my Terapagos, and brings it back up to Terra Shell. Some would say that this is a really bad position for me. And they'd be right. I switch Amoonguss into Incineroar, as the Chien-Pao uses Icicle Crash into that slot, and the Zamazenta uses Body Press and takes out Incineroar. Terapagos gets another Calm Mind up though. I bring in Amoonguss and go for Protect on the Amoonguss and Earth Power into the Zamazenta. If he reads this, it's over. He goes for a double Protect. Not great, but still fine. I Terra my Amoonguss into Fairy and protect my Terapagos. He doubles Amoonguss with Behemoth Bash and Icicle Crash, but thanks to the attack drop from Incineroar, Amoonguss hangs on and puts Zamazenta to sleep. I switch Amoonguss to Calyrex, as Chien-Pao uses Icicle Crash into Calyrex. Zamazenta takes his turn of sleep, and Terapagos uses Starstorm into POW to bring it down to Sash. Next turn, I read him not to Sucker Punch my Calyrex, and click Raw Astral and Earth Power into the Zamazenta. He doesn't Sucker Punch, and I take out both slots, and with Incineroar and Rillaboom in the back, he can't win, and I take another set. 2 wins, 0 losses.
Okay, so I just played round 2. It was the most unhinged set I think I've ever played in my life. It was insane. So I pulled Marc, a repeat, and I pulled it was Lunala, Zamazenta, POW, Incin, Rilla, Rock Prawn, stuff like that. So, it was a little bit scary, to be honest. It was really scary actually. So he leads Zom POW, and I was like, oh well, I can just I have Wisp Calyrex, and I can just Wisp, I can just play the game where I Wisp his Zom and then Pollen Puff myself back up and just sit there and Calm Mind. So I missed the Wisp and he kills me and I lose on the spot, and I was like, alright, well that sucks. It's whatever. I'm clicking Wisp at that point anyways, I'm kind of asking to miss, so it's whatever. And then game 2, turn 1, I underestimated Zom and it just kills my Pogos turn 1. He body pressed it, it's just gone. So ew, that's not good for me. But I managed to timer stall him with Calyrex, Incin, and Rilla. And I pull it back somehow. I didn't even, I was taking notes for every game. I didn't, I couldn't. I was so, locked in, I couldn't take notes, so I just didn't. And then finally, game 3, I just Pogosed, and then I got, lucky with sleep turns, and, just played the chances, because I felt like at that point I was pretty behind, so I just kind of wanted to play the odds, and, I did, and I got lucky this time, so it worked out. I'm gonna get yelled at, so I'll see you guys, my game was the last one to finish, so I'm kind of, cutting into round 3, but I'll let you guys know after round 3.
It's an asymmetrical cut, meaning that if I win one more, I'll be in for sure. But if I go 4-1, I'll guarantee the top 8 and not have to play the top 16 match. But if I go 3 wins and 2 losses with good resistance, I can also make it to the top 8, which is my goal. So to my horror, not only do I get down paired, killing my resistance, I also pull Diego, one of the 2 players at our locals who got top 16 at Worlds last year. Plus, he is known for using Zamazenta, Terapagos' worst nightmare. This is probably going to be the toughest match I'll play today. I also have absolutely no idea how to play this matchup, so this is gonna be fun. Game 1 opens with Rillaboom and Terapagos versus Zamazenta and Calyrex Shadow. Rillaboom uses Fake Out on Zamazenta, and Calyrex goes for Astral Barrage, and Terapagos goes for Calm Mind as per usual. Calyrex uses Psychic to Terapagos, and Zamazenta goes for Body Press into Rillaboom, knocking it out, as Terapagos goes for another Calm Mind. He switches Calyrex for Incineroar, and I bring in my Incineroar for Fake Out pressure and Terra my Terapagos. Zamazenta protects as Fake Out goes into that slot and Earth Power goes into that slot. I make an insane play and read him to predict my Terapagos to protect. I switch in Amoonguss for Incineroar and Earth Power the Zamazenta, but he body presses my Terapagos and I survive, using Earth Power to take out Zamazenta. He goes for Flare Blitz into Terapagos, doing almost no damage. He brings in Whimsicott and terras his Incineroar to Grass, then encores my Terapagos into Earth Power, severely limiting its damage output. Terapagos uses Earth Power into Whimsicott, doing almost nothing, and Incineroar goes with Flare Blitz into my Terapagos again, doing almost nothing. Amoonguss then heals up my Terapagos with Pollen Puff. To save you the time, eventually I'm able to take out the Whimsicott at the right time, and then Terra Starstorm takes out Calyrex and Incineroar, winning me game 1. Game 2 starts with Zamazenta, Chien-Pao versus Calyrex Shadow Amoonguss. I protect my Amoonguss as Calyrex goes for Astral Barrage, and to my horror, he doubles my Calyrex and knocks it out. Well, this is bad. I bring in Incineroar and make a really aggressive prediction that he'll double protect. I get it right, and he double protects, as I parting shot my own Amoonguss to bring in Terapagos. I then Terrasilize my Amoonguss into Fairy, and protect my Terapagos. He doubles the Terapagos, which does nothing, and I Spore the Zamazenta. My note-taking is a little scrappy here, and all I know is that the game came down to a very slow battle of attrition, and I eventually lose, bringing us to a Game 3. Game 3 opens with Rillaboom Terapagos against Zamazenta Chien-Pao. I switch Rillaboom for Incineroar, expecting an Ice Spinner into that slot, but my heart rate spikes when I see a Ruination into Terapagos, and then a Body Press into Incineroar. I'm still in this, despite the fact that I just lost my Incin for nothing. I then make an aggressive prediction that he'll expect my Terapagos to protect and double the Amoonguss. So I leave Terapagos completely vulnerable, and I get it wrong, losing Terapagos and the set. 2 wins, 1 loss.
Okay, so I just kind of got cooked in round 3. I played Diego, Mr. Top 16 Worlds, Zamazenta guy. So, yeah, it was tough. It was a tough match. It was CSR Zom with Wims. And Wims has Fake Tears and Encores Lorb, Cali, Psychic. It was really scary. But it is what it is. It's fine. He helped me with the matchup after, so I'm a little more comfortable going forward. And at the end of the day, I'm just here for NAIC prep. I don't really care about necessarily coming first. I'm just kind of hoping to do well enough where I can feel good about the team, good about myself. So that's the plan. Round 4 is happening soon, I think. Currently 2-1. I need to be 3-2. Asymmetrical gets in. Red should be good. So if I go 3-2 at this point, chances are I should be able to get a bye into top 8, which would be phenomenal. So that's what we're gonna do, and yeah, we'll get back to you guys in a second.
It sucks that I lost, especially since now I'll probably have to win the rest to make it to the top cut. But what sucks more is that I felt completely outmaneuvered in that last game. The cracks of Terapagos are definitely starting to show. I notice how linear I have to play, and how it's really difficult to deviate from my set game plan. Now that other players are starting to figure out how Terapagos players play, it's a lot more difficult to actually get things done, since my game plans are so predictable. Either way, I still have 2 more sets left to play, and then top cut if I make it that far. So, let's see what we got. Koraidon Calyrex Shadow? I think I am going to throw up. Not only can Koraidon pose a massive threat to both Calyrex and Terapagos, but Calyrex Shadow can also force a lot of speed ties. This is gonna be ugly. Game 1 opens with Terapagos Incineroar versus Koraidon Firepawn. Incineroar uses Fake Out on Koraidon, and Ogerpon uses Focus Energy? Oh no, I did not read the team sheet. That's really bad. Now we'll always critical hit Ivy Cudgel, and in Sun, that's doing insane damage. I get a Calm Mind up, but I still need another one before I'm doing actually good damage. Koraidon uses Flame Charge on Incineroar to cover a switch and to gain a speed boost. and Ogerpon uses Ivy Cudgel on Terapagos, dealing really good damage. Incineroar then uses Knockoff on Koraidon to get rid of its Clear Amulet. I switch Incineroar into Amoonguss and protect Terapagos, expecting him to double Terapagos, as he protects his Koraidon and Ivy Cudgels my Terapagos, giving me a free switch. I Terrasilize my Terapagos and Rage Powder with Amoonguss, figuring that he'll either Collision Course my Terapagos and have it be redirected, or he'll Flare Blitz Amoonguss and kill himself with Recoil. He goes for Collision Course and then follows up with Ivy Cudgel, killing off my Amoonguss, as Terapagos uses Terra Starstorm and takes out Koraidon. We both bring in our Incineroars, and we fake out the other person's partner, doing essentially nothing. I protect my Terapagos and Ogerpon Ivy Cudgels it, and I Parting Shot his Incineroar and bring in Calyrex. However, he uses Knockoff on my incoming Calyrex and brings it down to Focus Sash. I Astral Barrage, as Ogerpon Ivy Cudgels Terapagos, and Earth Power takes out Incineroar. He brings in Calyrex, and then I switch my Calyrex for Incineroar, as Ogerpon Spiky Shields and Terapagos protects. And his Calyrex goes for Nasty Plot. Uh-oh. Incineroar finishes off Ogerpon with Fake Out, and Calyrex goes for Psychic on my Terapagos, taking it out. It comes down to a speed tie, and I win, winning me game 1. In game 2, I lead Calyrex Ogerpon into Koraidon and Incineroar. I send the Terra Ghost Astral Barrage turn 1, and use Ivy Cudgel into Incineroar. He uses Flame Charge into Ogerpon and knocks off my Focus Sash. He brings in Incineroar for his Calyrex and protects Koraidon, while I Follow Me Astral Barrage. I go for Follow Me Astral Barrage and lose the speed tie, losing the game. Off to game 3. I hate these speed ties, but in this matchup, it's just what has to happen. Game 3 opens with Incineroar Terapagos versus Koraidon and Ogerpon, a repeat of game 1. I fake out Koraidon, he uses Focus Energy again, and Terapagos uses Calm Mind. He switches Koraidon for Incineroar, as Terapagos protects, and he attacks it with Ivy Cudgel. I Parting Shot the Ogerpon and bring in my own Ogerpon. Both Ogerpon Spiky Shield, as Terapagos uses Earth Power into Incineroar, and Incineroar uses Parting Shot into Terapagos and brings in Koraidon. My Ogerpon Ivy Cudgels his, knocking it out instantly, as Koraidon Flame Charges my Ogerpon, and Terapagos gets a Starstorm off into Koraidon. He brings in Calyrex, and I Terra my Terapagos. He protects Calyrex, and Collision Course goes into Ogerpon, knocking it out, and Starstorm chips Koraidon a little bit. I bring in my Calyrex, he goes for the double protect, gets it, and Flare Blitzes my Calyrex. I use Starstorm to take out the Koraidon, but it's too late. With both Terapagos and Calyrex alive, he can't win, and I take the set. 3 wins and 1 loss.
Hello, just finished up round 4, pulled Nate. It was tough. He had like a Koraidon Shadow Rider, so it was like a lot of speed ties and a lot of stuff in general. I have like a headache because I've been thinking so much and writing notes. But you know what? We're out here. I won, so I'm 3-1. I'm in cut. Hoping to win my next one to guarantee that I move to top 8, but we'll see how it goes. So I'll update you guys then.
Next up, I pull Olivia, one of the first friends I made playing VGC. She's using a standard Miraidon Calyrex Ice team. She's a phenomenal player, but I think I should have a severe matchup advantage. Game 1, she leads Miraidon Calyrex against my Rillaboom and Terapagos. I'm able to shut down her electric terrain right away, and with Fake Out pressure onto the Calyrex, I'm able to get a free Calm Mind up. However, I don't make that play. Fake Out here leaves both my Rillaboom and Terapagos vulnerable the next turn, so I decide to U-turn the Calyrex and bring in my Incineroar. The turn starts, and she goes for Volt Switch into my Rillaboom, and brings in Volcarona, and my Rillaboom U-turns the Calyrex and I bring in Incineroar. Terapagos gets its Calm Mind up, and Calyrex goes for high horsepower into my Incineroar. A very nice play by her. Volcarona uses Bug Buzz into Incineroar, and Terapagos goes for another Calm Mind. Incineroar goes for Will-O-Wisp and connects it into Calyrex, burning it and rendering the incoming Glacial Lance almost useless. Volcarona goes for Fiery Dance into Incineroar, knocking it out, and Terapagos goes for Starstorm into Volcarona for some chip, as Calyrex goes for another Lance that does almost no damage. I bring in Amoonguss, and Volcarona protects, then Amoonguss protects, and Terapagos uses Earth Power on Volcarona, and Calyrex fires off yet another Lance. I switch Amoonguss into Rillaboom, and Volcarona takes it out with a Fiery Dance, as Terapagos takes out Volcarona with an Earth Power. Calyrex then uses Glacial Lance again, doing pretty much nothing. She brings in Iron Hands, then uses Fake Out on Amoonguss. Terapagos uses Starstorm on Calyrex as it goes for Glacial Lance. Amoonguss uses Rage Powder, and Terapagos uses Earth Power to take out the Calyrex, as Iron Hands uses Drain Punch on Amoonguss. Miraidon hits the field, and I protect Terapagos and Amoonguss to skip Miraidon's move choice, and it locks into Snarl. I Terra my Terapagos, and she Terras Iron Hands into water. Miraidon goes for Snarl, and Terapagos goes for Earth Power into Iron Hands, as Iron Hands Drain Punches Amoonguss, and Amoonguss puts Miraidon to sleep, sealing Game 1. Game 2 opens with Ogerpon Calyrex against Rillaboom Terapagos. She switches the Ogerpon for Miraidon turn 1 to gain control, as I fake out the Calyrex and set up Calm Mind. I protect Terapagos as Miraidon snarls, and Rillaboom U-turns Calyrex, and I bring out Incineroar. Calyrex goes for Lance, and since it only hits Incineroar, it does almost nothing. Miraidon goes for Snarl again, and a double up from Terapagos' Starstorm and Incineroar's knockoff takes out Calyrex before it can attack. She brings in Iron Hands for the fainted Calyrex, and it switches Miraidon into Ogerpon, as I switch Incineroar for Rillaboom. I protect my Terapagos as Iron Hands fakes out my Rillaboom slot. Rillaboom goes for Fake Out on Ogerpon, as Terapagos goes for another Calm Mind, as Iron Hands uses Drain Punch on Terapagos. Ogerpon uses Ivy Cudgel on Rillaboom, and I follow up with Wood Hammer onto the Iron Hands. Terapagos uses Earth Power on Iron Hands, but Iron Hands Drain Punches Rillaboom for the KO. She switches Iron Hands for Miraidon, as Ogerpon Spiky Shields and Terapagos Earth Powers Miraidon. I Terra my Terapagos as she Terras Rockbond, and it comes down to if Terapagos can live the Electro Drift and the Ivy Cudgel. And it does, finishing the game with Terra Starstorm, winning me the game, this set, and advancing me to top 8.
Okay, so I just finished. Oh wait, this view is better. Hold up, I should be over here more. Sorry, I just finished round 5. Well, I didn't just I finished round 5. Forgot to vlog it, so I ate lunch and I was just talking with people. And then I was like, wait a second, I have to vlog it still. So I came all the way out here. I changed the view, as you can see, and now I'm here. So I played Olivia. It was like Miraidon, Ice Rider, and she just does like she is like Scarf Miraidon. But there's no matchup, like there's nothing there. So I just kind of clicked Calm Mind and Fake Out and U-turn and Parting Shot, and I won. So that was good. I'm feeling good about that one. Yeah, so I've guaranteed top 8, guaranteed money, which is good. Good, we take those. Hopefully I can get top 4. But at the end of the day, like, I'm happy with how the day went so far. Like, I mean, I got good prep for NAIC, so that's what really counts. And like, I feel like my team is strong, and I feel like my play is okay, so let's see how it goes.
After beating Olivia, I felt very confident and comfortable in the Calyrex Ice Miraidon matchup, so you can imagine the joy on my face when I pulled Fiona, another Calyrex Ice Miraidon. This matchup is slightly different than Olivia's. Fiona has an Okidogi, a Pokemon that is much more problematic for me than Iron Hands. The thing with Iron Hands is that it's very slow, which allows my Incineroar to outspeed it and burn it before it can attack. This is not the case with Okidogi, who is faster than my Incineroar. Not only this, but Okidogi can't be slowed down by Incineroar's Intimidate thanks to Guard Dog, so this Okidogi is really tough to handle. Game 1 starts with me locked in, then with Terapagos and Rillaboom versus Incineroar and Calyrex. I decide to fake out the Calyrex and Calm Mind with Terapagos. I figure that if she wants to fake out my Terapagos, then I heal back my health anyways, plus I can U-turn into Incineroar the next turn to mitigate the damage from Glacial Lance. She decides to knock off my leftovers and make it harder to recover Terra Shell. I go for the U-turn and bring in Incineroar and go for another Calm Mind. She Parting Shots the turtle out into the menace itself, Okidogi. And she goes for high horsepower? I guess she was worried about the Incineroar, but it works for me. The turtle lives on. Terapagos goes for Earth Power to weaken the Okidogi, and I also send the Will-O-Wisp at the Okidogi, expecting not to get it off. And I was right, as Okidogi takes out my Incineroar. Calyrex goes for Glacial Lance to chip my Terapagos, and it does a lot more than I thought. I switch in my Calyrex and decide to go for Astral and Terra Earth Power to take out that pesky dog. It works out, and thanks to the healing from my Terra transformation, I live another Lance. She brings in Miraidon, and I predict her to leave the Calyrex alone, so I protect the Terapagos and go for another Astral. I get it right and hit her incoming Incineroar. I decide to heal up my Terapagos with the Self-Pollen Puff and take out the Miraidon, and with only Incineroar left, she can't win, and we go off to Game 2. Game 2 opens with the exact same leads, but I plan to play the early game a bit different. Last time, she predicted my Incineroar to switch in, and went for high horsepower. But I figure that maybe I can go for a Protect and Wood Hammer instead, to put the Calyrex in range of another Wood Hammer and Starstorm for the KO. I start by doing the same Fake Out and Calm Mind play as Game 1, and this time she goes for Parting Shot into the Terapagos and brings in the pesky Okidogi. This time my Incineroar is in the back, and that means it's going to be really tough to get it in without giving the dog a boost. I figure that at this point I'm okay with losing my Rillaboom, since I can just bring in my Calyrex and nuke the board with Astral, so I just send a Wood Hammer into the Calyrex to get some damage. But I get really lucky with a crit, which puts me in a great position. She goes for Drain Punch into my Terapagos to chip it a bit, and then follows up with a Glacial Lance to take out the Rillaboom and further damage to my Terapagos. I bring in Calyrex, and she knows that her Calyrex is in trouble, so she decides to bring in her Incineroar. I expect her to try and take out my Terapagos, so I protect it, but I get it wrong, and she attacks my Calyrex and brings it down to Focus Sash. I'm still in an alright position, but I make a really bad misplay. The safe play here is to click Astral Barrage and Earth Power into the Okidogi, so if she decides to fake out my Terapagos, I guarantee an Astral and can take out either slot the next turn. But for whatever reason, I decide to Pollen Puff my Terapagos back to full HP, and lose my Calyrex. And without Calyrex alive, I don't have the means to take out Okidogi, and I lose the game. This next game will decide if I am eliminated from the tournament or not. Game 3 starts with the same leads once again. This seems familiar. This time I don't even bother with the fake out and just bring in Incineroar. Last time I let Okidogi hit the field before my Incineroar, and that's not a mistake I'm going to make again. I go for Command with Tropicos as she goes for Potting Shot into Okidogi and the Glacial Lance. My position is so much better this time, and I use Fake Out to stop it from attacking, and go for another Calm Mind. This may seem greedy, but Tropicos with 2 Calm Mind boosts is really difficult to stop, and it has enough damage output to actually feel like a legendary Pokemon. Calyrex goes for Lance again, but with Tropicos' high defenses and Incineroar's resistance, the damage is really not that impactful. I decide to Terra my Tropicos and Earth Power the Miraidon. Assuming she has Okidogi in the back, all of her Pokemon in that slot are weak to Earth Power, so she has no safe switch-ins. I also send the Wisp into Calyrex, hoping that the burn will slow it down enough to a point where I can just ignore it. She Volt Switches my Incineroar, but it hangs on with 11 HP, and the incoming Okidogi eats the Earth Power, and Incineroar connects with the Calyrex, almost completely removing its damage. And then Incineroar is finished off by a Glacial Lance. I bring in my Calyrex and decide it's time to start blowing stuff up. I go for Starstorm Astral as she switches out the Okidogi for Incineroar. The double up puts Incineroar in range of another, and takes out the Calyrex. She brings in Miraidon, but I can get terrain control by switching in Rillaboom, so I make the safe play and protect Tropicos and switch in Rillaboom. Protect comes out and blocks Fake Out from Incineroar, and she retaliates with Electro Drift into my Rillaboom, which doesn't do very much damage. I decide to double the Incineroar with Starstorm and U-turn to bring Calyrex back in and to keep Rillaboom's terrain control. She decides to Terra her Incineroar, which is fine since now it's weaker to Starstorm. Electro Drift comes out and does nothing to Tropicos, as Rillaboom U-turns into Calyrex and Starstorm finishes off the Incineroar. With both of my legendaries alive, Fiona can no longer win, and I take the set, advancing to top 4.
Thank you for repping the turtle. I'm gonna call for life.
I love Tropicos.
I love Tropicos.
He's awesome.
100% love rate for the turtle on this beautiful interview right now.
It's a pretty cool guy.
Tropicos has been like my MVP all season. Like the only reason I'm even like in a spot to like make my Worlds invite is because I top 32 global challenge with it. So I'm kind of like I'm indebted to it. And I was like, well, like I don't know what to use for NAIC, so I'll just like try Tropicos and see how it went.
Just send it.
I've been loving it. So here we are.
Do you think you bring it to Worlds if you make it?
If I make it, absolutely. At this point,
at that point you have
At this point, it's about the dedication.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Tropicos has definitely earned its spot by Worlds.
100%.
Okay.
I think the thing is with the Kali Isis is like on paper it looks like it's really, really scary because like obviously you have the Amoonguss, which is weak, you have the Rillaboom, which is weak, you have the Rockron, which is weak. But surprisingly the matchup doesn't actually feel all that bad for me because I have the Wisp Instant, I have the Wisp Kali, and then I have my Tropicos, which is always resisting it. I mean in this matchup I think the most threatening piece was the Okidogi, and like I think the restricteds were definitely not like really scary for me at
Not
all.
all that scary. We did talk a lot about that Okidogi.
We were saying like Okidogi's like the biggest threat. Like
it looked
actually
really threatening.
sits
It looked
on
very
this
scary.
Yeah, Okidogi was terrorizing his home.
Probably not something you'll have to worry about too much at NAIC.
I sure hope not.
If
That's
Okidogi
scary.
gets it.
The meta adaptation.
Yeah.
You're just gonna play like 4 Okidogi.
No. I know. I don't know why people are disrespecting Tropicos. I walked in here and everyone's like, oh, Tropicos isn't even on the top 8 graphic. And I was like, oh, come on, guys, we can do better. Tropicos is my best Pokemon.
You get the honor, you know, you're the
Yeah, I mean,
only
it's pretty
person,
good.
I didn't qualify, I got 3rd at the LCQ.
Oh.
But, so you're the only person repping it today.
Yes.
And you get the sole honor of it's in top 4, and you get to shut down all the haters. They
Yes.
can do it.
All of them were laughing at me. Look at me now. I'm here.
Hey, tell it to the audience.
Yeah, well done.
You guys all laughed at me, but Tropicos is here.
Yeah. Speaking of being all in on this Terrapagos, I love the Calyrex, the Pollen Puff. Big fan of Pollen Puff Calyrex.
If you're this big fan of big talk, you know, you should meet me in finals, right, Braden?
I'll try.
Right?
I'll try.
Right?
I'll try.
And then you'll win.
Yeah.
If Pogos is truly so good, you're gonna win the tournament.
Hey, we'll see.
On the route.
Who knows?
So, funny story, we played one game off stream, so there is no footage for it, but all you need to know is that I somehow won. Now, off to game 2 against Diego again. Game 2 opens with Zamazenta Chenpao versus Calyrex Terrapagos. I expect him to double up on my Terrapagos, so I protect it and go for Will-O-Wisp onto Zamazenta. He unfortunately does not double my turtle, but he does Ruination it, invalidating Chenpao's attack. And then the Burned Heavy Slam does very little damage to Calyrex. I predict him to attack the Calyrex slot, and I get it wrong, and switch out my Calyrex for Incineroar, as he doubles my Terrapagos and knocks it out before it can even attack. I honestly consider forfeiting at this point, but it's technically optimal for me to play it out for information. I bring in Amoongus since I can't afford to lose my Calyrex to a Sucker Punch. I figure that I can protect my Amoongus and Parting Shot to guarantee the Calyrex coming in for free. He Ruinations my Amoongus and I get to see how much the Body Press does to my Incineroar. And it does a lot. I am not taking one of those without the burn. I get in my Calyrex and I see a line, but I'll let the commentators take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably just going to game 3 here.
Yeah.
Don't want to call it too early.
Don't want to call it too early, but
Without Terrapagos, and your whole team's around protecting the turtle, and you didn't.
We had Braden in the interview earlier, and it was all Terrapagos all the time. That's the whole idea. That's the whole concept. And Terrapagos is already gone. Nothing really has been done to Diego's team here.
Hey, he can burn the Shinpo here.
I think the real question here is how much information can Braden gather before this game ends.
And if he does win this game,
that's your goal. If he wins this game, he might just be the best player in the room.
Yeah, he might just win
by a lot.
But yeah,
Terragos probably just fishing for those damage rolls.
Yeah, if I'm Braden, I'm just trying to collect some information, see what damage rolls I can get, see if there's any moves or any anything that Diego was thinking that I haven't seen before that I can just kind of force out of him.
Probably looking for just half to something here.
And just
close up the Zamazenta.
Oh,
a critical hit.
I was like, that shouldn't happen, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not a lot of very useful information because it killed Zama with a crit. Big surprise. On the field against that Cali Shadow, so it does still have to be worried about that Sucker Punch. But now,
although it is next to Amoongus, you could Rage Powder it away.
Amoongus can Rage Powder. So
honestly, Braden's not in a terrible situation here.
Well, Terra Dark is still on the
Calyrex +1 special attack from the Grenade. Amoongus in position to redirect Sucker Punch.
At least we can see. There's actually no issue.
Calyrex Shadow can click the Terra Dark, but Braden's Calyrex does have Fallen Buff.
Okay, low-key, a big read with that would
super effective.
If he wins the speed tie, calls the Terra Dark, and it Okos, and he would probably win this game.
I'm not seeing
that'd be kind of crazy.
Feeling a little lucky. I'm not seeing any reactions from
the Terra Dark comes up.
Show me the Fallen Buff.
Do we see a Rage Powder redirecting the
That's a bug move.
Punch?
Show me another bug move.
That's where we just got back.
Then we see the second bug move coming out.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh! And it does just take the one shot. Braden's the best player.
Incredible.
And all of a sudden, the turn one Terrapagos death.
And Terrapagos dies immediately, but Calyrex Shadow is still Calyrex Shadow. And we did get an Ice Spinner. And Amoongus doesn't even Fire Camp coming in. He's very pleased.
That's just
very pleased.
That's like the best thing I've seen all day.
Back, and battle gonna be canceled. Braden gonna take it 2-0.
Fucking it.
Only one game on stream. Incredible.
That's your only out.
Incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
I mean,
incredibly well done.
That was just fantastic.
Situation, if I don't get that crit, I take out both pieces at the same time. Then he has Tailwind and Calyrex at the same time. So you can Tailwind Astral, and I should never be able to win from that situation.
Sure.
But since I was able to take out just the Zom, he had to choose between getting his Calyrex in or getting his Wilts Card in. Sure, you can set Tailwind, but I can just stall it because I have Instant in the back.
Yeah.
So that crit is like what saved me. Like I think I would have
very
lost.
significant. And then you do have to get that turn right.
Yeah.
Getting the Fallen Puff on the Terra Dark, which is incredible move. Great play.
Yeah.
We were all clutched out the win. Yeah.
I tried.
We were all in the same boat. We were like, Terrapagos is gone immediately. This does not look good. And then Calyrex Shadow just brought it all the way back.
I was expecting the run button.
Yeah, I almost did. I was like, well, like I might as well play it out. Like I was like, I can make those kind of insane plays, like give myself a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Make some plays, as we were saying, just collect a little more information, maybe see some rolls that you didn't see before.
Yes.
For the game
That's what
three.
we were like. Oh, that credit on is so sad. You're gonna lose anyway. You wanted the info.
Yeah.
And then actually,
It was actually
You
really
won.
good.
Yeah.
You just win the game 2-0.
That was, I feel so bad for Diego. He told me that I played him in Swiss. I got down on him in Swiss actually. And then after I lost, like that matchup's the one I don't know how to play. It's like, oh, well, you just do this, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I did it. It worked. So.
Oh no, you say that after the tournament.
Yeah, sorry, Diego. So we made it. This is for all the marbles. So, how does the crowd feel?
People in the spectator. I'm gonna try something. Spectators,
How do you feel?
how do you feel about Terrapagos?
Why does everyone hate Terrapagos? First they boo me, then they laugh at me. Oh well, it's personal now. Game 1 opens with Calyrex and Chi-Yu lead from Kylan, and an Ogerpon and Tropicos lead from me. I decided to switch out Ogerpon since I realized it's about to be dropped, and bring Incineroar, a Pokemon that should be able to eat the incoming attacks. Snarl lowers my Tropicos' damage output, and at neutral special attack, Tropicos isn't really able to do any damage. Calyrex uses Astral, and does a ton of damage to Incineroar, putting it in range of another double up. My only defensive Pokemon in this matchup can't even take 2 attacks from Chi-Yu and Calyrex. I send the Earth Power into the Chi-Yu, but it does pretty much nothing. I decide to go for Fake Out to allow my Incineroar to survive the turn, as Calyrex goes for another Astral and puts my Incineroar in range of another Astral. At this point, I'm hoping the Snarl can finish off my Incineroar so Calyrex doesn't get the boost, but he protects his Calyrex, expecting some sort of defensive play, and I take out his Chi-Yu. Kylan brings in Zamazenta, and that's a really tough situation for me. Zamazenta and Calyrex run through my team at this point, and I don't think there's any way out of this, so I forfeit to conceal information. Game 2 opens with Incineroar and Amoonguss from my end, and Calyrex Chi-Yu from his end. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, Kylan and I are good friends, and we played this matchup in testing the night before the tournament, and I thought that it was super difficult for me to win. So I know that when my back is against the wall, it's time to lock in. He switches Chi-Yu for Zamazenta, and then uses Taunt on my Amoonguss. However, I read the taunt and double up the Calyrex and take it out before it can Astral Barrage. I switch out Incineroar for Calyrex, expecting to body press into that slot, and Terra my Amoonguss to survive the incoming Heat Wave. I decide to switch Amoonguss out for Incineroar and protect my Calyrex. He clicks Heat Wave again, and Heavy Slams the Calyrex, which does nothing thanks to Protect. He then protects Zamazenta, as I fake out Chi-Yu, and then send the Wisp into Zamazenta. He decides to go for the switch, bringing in Amoonguss for Zamazenta, and then the Heat Wave. Incineroar parting shots out into Amoonguss. Then I switch Amoonguss straight back into Incineroar and protect the Calyrex, setting the stage for a trap. As he goes for the Heat Wave and the Spore into my Goggles Incineroar, I can either go for the Fake Out cycle and chip both slots, or I can Astral Knock Off and take out the Amoonguss. And thanks to the parting shot -1 on Chi-Yu, Calyrex can survive another Heat Wave. He goes for another Heat Wave, and it misses the Calyrex, allowing it to survive for an extra turn and potentially burn the Zamazenta in the back. I take out the Amoonguss and lose my Incineroar to Rocky Helm and Recoil. Then the Zamazenta hits the field. I decide to send the Will-O-Wisp into the Zamazenta, expecting him to take out the Amoonguss, and he connects his Heat Wave and burns me. Then I miss my Will-O-Wisp and then lose my Amoonguss too. This turn went really poorly for me, and I don't think I can come back from this. So I lose the game, the set, and the tournament. Is this really how it ends? Second place? Tropicos falling short of another win? I wish I could say that it isn't. I wish I could say that Tropicos secured first place and took home the title, but that's not what happened. I couldn't win the tournament, and I fell short of a win again. It stings to work so hard all season and never feel like it's enough. It sucks to feel like you're behind because you don't have as much experience as everyone else, and it hurts to know that it might not be possible to reach that top level, and that's okay. I lost, but I didn't lose with a frown. I didn't feel like I failed because I worked so hard to make it this far. And at the end of the day, second is still great. I was the only Tropicos player at this tournament, and I still got second place, which definitely proves something. And even though I didn't win, I'm still proud of this result, and how I played throughout this tournament. So I didn't win, and that's okay. I'm grateful that I was able to make it this far, and I'm thankful I was able to do it with a Pokemon no one else believed in.